This video will discuss chapter 7.5, adding and subtracting polynomials. So I'm going to show you two different ways that you can add and subtract polynomials. We're going to start with what is the horizontal method, and then we'll work on the vertical method. So remember that you can only add or subtract monomials that have identical bases. Okay, and so for example, 2x squared I cannot combine with 5x because we're combining like terms. So I need to figure out, over here I've got a 2x squared, and then I've got this, which is a negative 4x squared. And so, we can start by let's just rewriting this without any of the parentheses. So this is going to be 2x squared plus 5x minus 7 plus 3 minus 4x squared plus 6x, right? So I'm just taking each of these, and I just rewrote it kind of in expanded form. So there's no longer the parentheses, right? And so I did, and we'll have to think about this when we subtract, I did kind of basically distribute this positive sign to each of these. But since it's a positive sign or a positive 1, when I multiply each of them by positive 1, they kind of come out the same way they looked inside the parentheses. So now what I want to do is take the 2x squared, and I'm looking for another x squared, and I see it's there. So I'm going to put those two together. So this is 2x squared minus 4x squared. Right? Keep in mind it's minus because of that. Plus, I'm looking for x's, 5x and 6x. So plus 5x plus 6x. It's plus 6x because of that. And then plus, and then I've got this negative 7 and this positive 3. So plus negative 7 plus 3. So it's a negative 7 because that's negative. It's plus 3 because that is positive. So now what I'm going to do is combine these. So this becomes negative 2x squared plus 11x minus 4. All right, so again, to get from here to here, I essentially distributed. Right, so distributive property got me here. I then used the commutative property and the associative property to move numbers around in the sentence and then group the ones I wanted to group. And then I just simplified to get from this black to the red. All right, that's one way to solve it. This is called the horizontal method because obviously, I'll just punch the pen. Horizontal method because it's going horizontally, right? It's going across. Now let's talk about the vertical method. So vertical method would be very similar. It's the exact same problem. Okay? And in the vertical method, what I'm going to do is just line them up. So this is going to be 2x squared plus 5x minus 7. Now what I need to do is line each of these up under the appropriate, right, or corresponding numbers. So this is going to be negative 4x squared, positive 6x, and positive 3. And since I'm adding, I'm going to make sure that I remember to add each of these. So I'm going to add, and add. 2x squared plus negative 4x squared is negative 2x squared. 5x plus 6x, right, or plus positive 6x is positive 11x. And negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4. So my final answer would be there. Right, as you can see, either method gets you to the same final answer. Okay, I'm going to do another problem using subtraction. A lot of people seem to like this one, and it works when these are all the same. You'll see in the next problem, it's a little more confusing when some of these don't necessarily match up with some of those. When they all match up, it's not quite so bad. Had this been a subtraction problem, this would be minus, right? We're going to look at that in the next problem. So, taking a look at this problem, if we're going to do the horizontal method, so we're going across, remember this is a negative 1. So I need to take this negative 1 and I need to distribute it to each of these. So as I write this out the long way, this becomes 7p plus 4p to the third minus 8. Negative 1 times 3p is negative 3p. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 9p is positive 9p. All right, now I'm going to start trying to group them. So I'm looking for I got the 4p cubed, right, which was here. But there are no other p cubes, so that one I'm just going to leave by itself. Plus, okay, now this is where people get confused. You're always adding, when you do this, the horizontal method, you're always adding the groups. So a lot of people thought that in this one you add, that these addition signs are because of that. They're actually not. You're always adding these groups together. I'm now looking for p squared, and you'll see that I have, oh sorry, I didn't write the p squared. That's part of the problem. I have this as my p squared, so this is plus negative 3p squared. Now I'm looking for a p, and that's here and here. So I got 7p plus 9p. Notice I'm using this and not this, right? It changed because of the negative 1, because I distributed. So it's plus 9p. And then finally I'm looking for numbers, and that would be the negative 8 and the negative 2. So this is plus, I'm sorry, I'm going to run out of room, negative 8 plus, or minus 2. Let's just go with minus. So it could be plus negative 2, or you could just write minus 2. All right, so now what I got to do is simplify. This one obviously is easy to simplify. This is 4p to the third. This one also is easy to simplify, minus 3p squared. 7p plus 9p, this is positive 16p. And then negative 8 minus 2, this is negative 10. So this would be my final answer in terms of this as a subtracting this minus that. Okay, now that's one way. We're going to come back to this one because I want to show you that. Now we're going to talk about what if I wanted to do the vertical method. Okay, same problem. So the vertical method, I now need to line them up. So this becomes 4p cubed. There are no p squared, so this is plus 0p squared plus 7p minus 8. Right? So I'm adding this p squared because there aren't any, but there is one over there. Then I'm going to go 0p cubed, 3p squared, negative 9p plus 2. Now, what I want you to notice, one key difference here is I did not distribute this negative sign. If you distribute the negative sign, you are now going with the vertical method and no longer horizontal. Okay, so in this particular example, I did distribute. You have to if you're solving it this way. If you are solving it using the vertical method, you do not distribute, because now is when I'm going to take this, and it is a subtraction problem, so I'm going to make sure that I subtract. So each of these, sorry, and this should have been a plus. So each of these is a problem. So I go 4p cubed minus 0p cubed. This is 4p cubed. Then I'm going 0p squared minus, because remember I'm subtracting, minus 3p squared, because positive 3p squared, this becomes negative 3p squared. 7 minus negative 9. 7 minus negative 9 is positive 16p. And then negative 8 minus positive 2. Negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. This would be the vertical method. I want you to notice that this answer and this answer are identical. So you can solve the problem either way. Again, one of the confusing parts with this is having to deal with this part of it and this part of it. Right? But as long as you're okay with how you got there and making sure that you kind of fill in the blanks, you can't just move this 7 over here because you need to make sure that p squareds are lined up. But as long as you line them up, this method is just as successful as the horizontal. All right, that's all I got for you on adding and subtracting polynomials. Thanks very much for watching the video. Don't forget to do the problems on the bottom of the page. I'll see you in class.